Hi everyone, this is just a short screencast video or sharing of my screen to show you one of the wonderful free resources that's available to us when we think about evidence-based practices and finding them and selecting them and so on. So in this week 3, you have several videos like this showing you some resources, and this is just one of the resources I'm drawing your attention to because it is free and it is continuously updated. So one of the things I like to share about this particular resource, which is known as the What Works Clearinghouse, which is officially from the U.S. government and the Institution of Education Sciences, is sometimes we think that when we are done being in school as an undergraduate or at a community college or as a graduate student, that we lose access to that library resource where we think we get access to journal articles, and that can be true, but that's why it's important to know there are lots of amazing resources that are out here, and this is one of them. That if you think, I don't have access to research because I'm not at my school anymore, this is a place you can go and still see what you can learn about evidence-based practices. So there's so much on this website that I'm only going to just give you some highlights so you know what you could potentially find here and how. So one of the things I'll draw your attention to at the top is you can access the nation's report card here that we often hear about in terms of evaluating students' progress on key areas related to literacy or math, right? And then here's the ERIC database that you're used to potentially using from library websites at your school when you're researching or engaging in writing papers. And then over here you have some information about this specific website, like if you wanted funding, but in this case, use our work and what you use it for. But most of the time, if you're just looking for evidence-based practices or to learn about a specific practice or intervention or curriculum that you might be using or investigating, you'd come down here. And there's a number of ways you can do this. One is you can search by keyword. One is you can search by topic or grade. Or you can just click into any of these things that already exist. And you'll notice down here also that there's always a what's new, and by always, I mean, as there's something new, it will be updated to say, in this case, interesting to us, that what's new in December is a new practice guide on teacher-delivered behavior intervention. So I'm kind of curious about that. So I'll click on it, and you're able to see that this is updated research that was released in 2024, and you can click on it and download it, the full guide, the summary, just the introduction, whatever you're interested in. The recommendations are how to use it, and if you hover on any of these things, they define or explain it, which is really amazing resource, like what is an intervention? What do we mean by recommendations? Details are who is included here and who the audience of this report is. Who are the experts on the panel that did this work and shared this research? And this is one of the amazing things here, is you're able to see these people truly are experts in the area of behavior, and they're from all over the United States in various different types of roles, which is also important to make sure we have a full perspective when we think about evidence-based practices. But if we go back to recommendations, you can come down here and see these are just providing teachers with 7 recommendations for implementing what they're calling low-intensity behavioral interventions for lower grades. And so those are things in the classroom like co-establishing, modeling, and teaching clear expectations. In this case, it says that we have Tier 1 strong evidence. And if I hover over it, it will also define for me strong evidence, which means we have consistent evidence to support that this practice is recommended. It's assigned when they find high quality causal research that links a practice with positive results and rules out other variables or causes for positive results. That's one thing that makes us very interested in evidence-based practices, is that they try to account for why we found what we found by controlling variables or other causal. So if you scroll down here, you're able to see all of this information, and some of these say that they only have moderate evidence. If we hover, it shows you what that means. If I go back for 1 second, let's say I'm interested in practice guides. I can click on practice guides. It'll take a moment for it to load. And then you're able to see I can look by publication date, I can look by topic, I can look by population, I can look by grade level, amount of evidence, and things like that, right? So I could say I'm interested in understanding how to help students even in post-secondary think about advising, or how do I prepare young students for school. This top one again is teacher-delivered behavior interventions. That's the newest one. If I keep scrolling, I'm able to see promising guide for structuring out of school time to improve academic achievement, reducing problem behaviors. If I click on that, I can see it looks very similar to what we just looked at. So in this case, the overall recommendations, the details, the panel, related resources, and then you're able to, same way, hover over it and say moderate evidence. In this case, identifying the specifics of the problem behavior and conditions that prompt and reinforce it. I want to know more. I click show more. Every teacher experiences difficulty, but in this case, we're interested in antecedents and consequences, or what comes before the behavior and what happens after that either reinforces or punishes essentially that behavior. If I wanted to click more about this specific recommendation, I could click here and download and have information to it. So I just wanted to let you know that the What Works Clearinghouse is a wonderful free resource, continuously updated by experts in there's lots of wonderful, amazing resources here. Use this as a place to kind of dig in and see. The only thing I will let you know about the What Works Clearinghouse is it is kind of a gold standard, which means it has very rigorous expectations for what evidence-based practices are. Just because something is not on here does not mean it doesn't have promising evidence. It just means that it may not meet the rigorous requirements to say that it's evidence-based practice. But the flip side of that is, if you find something on this website, it means that it more than likely has a lot of research to support it. Even if they say it's an emerging practice, that is still a lot of research that they've looked at to say that it is an emerging practice. So this is kind of a gold standard of the most rigorous of free resources we have available to us.